what's up? Trent Jason here from the Thunder Underground podcast, and we are going to talk about the brand new album from Michael Sweet that comes out here this coming week, October 11th, called 10. Aptly called 10 because it is his 10th solo effort.
It's his 10th solo record?
It is. Hard to believe it.
Oh, okay.
He put out his first, I didn't realize this because, I didn't follow Stryper too strongly back in the day, but he put his first solo album out like 92.
Really?
While Stryper was still...
I thought you were a pretty big Stryper cat.
No, I liked him, but not big enough to where I was following them, like what they were doing outside of what was going on with singles and stuff,
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't like a Guns N' Roses or a
do you still have the Stryper Bible?
Megadeth thing for me. I wish. I did have the Bible that I got at the Cain's Ballroom, which, here, first tangent, first band I ever saw at the legendary Cain's Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was Stryper, with Bride opening up.
Mine was Brother Cain.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was the next year.
I win.
I don't know about that.
My best first concert at Cain's,
Okay.
Brother Cain, I win. Okay, sorry.
Sure.
Wow, we totally got off. Anyways, my journey or non-journey with Stryper and Michael Sweet, it's pretty shallow, I admit. I'm not a religious guy. All that stuff is just like white noise to me. So, in my younger years, I just tuned out. But in Michael Sweet's voice was a little not my thing back then. But really, as you mature and stuff, you realize, there's some great musicianship going on here. There always has been in Stryper and Michael Sweet. And I think as Michael Sweet's gotten older, I think his voice has matured.
Right.
You tell me. You're more of a... I just feel it has.
It's got a heavier
Yes.
tinge to it, I think.
And so I really appreciate what he does vocally. And I remember... Oh, God. 4, 5, 6 years ago, I don't know, you were like, you got to hear this new Stryper CD.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't. Okay, I really don't. He goes, Trent said, no, listen, shut the fuck up and you need to go listen to it. And I did, and it blew me away. It was fucking great. I mean, just riffs, the production, anything, Sweet and Lynch, Stryper, anything that Michael Sweet does, the production is just crystal clear. It just cuts like a knife. So there's that. And I really like where his voice has gone as he has aged. So it's turned into kind of a surprise, kind of a cool thing, in my world. So that's my take.
And his voice, he's one of those guys, he's getting up there in age, and you can throw him in that category with the heavyweights like Bruce Dickinson and Rob Halford, where he hasn't lost a thing. And I'm not just saying, you can do stuff in the studio to make it sound like you haven't lost a thing, but I've seen him live a couple times in recent years, and he sounds perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's tracks or anything fake. That's just how he sounds. It's like Bruce Dickinson. That's how he sounds.
Yeah.
And another thing of note is, you mentioned Sweet Lynch, the recent Stryper albums. Since 2015 or so, he's had like 6 or 7 albums.
That's insane.
When you think of a couple solo albums, the 2 Sweet Lynch albums, 2 Stryper albums, in this day and age, that's crazy, especially for someone from that era of music, because most of those guys shy away from, if they do something new, it's like every 8 years or 10 years or something,
Well, also what I've noticed, and this is again something you can back me up on or correct me on, but Stryper has had such a loyal following,
right?
And I think a little bit more loyal than a lot of bands from that era, and I think that carries over into Michael Sweet, and the Stryper faithful out there always kind of want to know what he's up to, and they're interested in what he's doing. I would suspect that comes from, old school Stryper fans that, kind of glommed on, for, the Christian thing. I don't know. But in any case, his fan base is pretty rabid for him. So he keeps them satisfied.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned Sweet and Lynch. Again, those two albums, if you have not heard them, are fantastic.
They are. They're really great.
And something to note, well, first before we get into this, just mention this was produced by Michael Sweet himself. So that says a lot too, kind of off what you said about the production. I don't know if who produced the Stryper albums or Sweet and Lynch. I didn't look into that, but this sounds great.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Remember when he was on Eddie Trunk and he, because he's such a Van Halen fan.
Right.
And he was just like, just let me produce. He was like, Eddie, if you're out there, let me produce it. I'll make it sound the way it should be. And I, for one, am all for that.
A new Van Halen album with Michael Sweet producing?
Yes, but like with, maybe Sammy singing.
Yeah.
He would probably prefer David Lee Roth. But,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we would prefer Sammy.
Yes, because that's the better Van Halen. We said it. Sorry. Weren't we here to talk about Michael Sweet's new record?
Yeah, well, we had to give all this basis for what we're talking about. And first thing that jumps out, obviously, is this record. It's 12 tracks. It's listed as having 2 bonus tracks. I don't know how the actual releases will be, if that's like if you buy a physical copy, how you get the last 2 tracks. Mm-hmm. But you'll want them, because one of them we'll talk about here in a minute is great. But anyway, these tracks all have a different guitarist.
Yeah.
And a lot of solo artists over the past, 10, 15 years have done that, and musicians, like vocalists have done that as well. Guitarists have done that as well with different vocalists. And he's doing the route with different guitarists, and they all bring a little bit different feel. And one thing of note that I thought was kind of cool was that how easy would it have been for him to get George Lynch or Oz Fox to be on this, but he didn't. Because you can hear that on any other CD, right? Yeah. So
he would do something different.
Yeah. So I appreciated that, first off.
Yeah, and the caliber of artists that appear on this record really speaks to, the high regard that they hold Michael Sweet in.
Right.
Because he got some pretty
all
cool
across
names.
The board, too.
Yeah, and a surprise or two, so.
Yeah, this thing kicks off with the guitarist from Arch Enemy and Nevermore.
Yeah.
And you don't even put that in the same category you put Michael Sweet or Stryper in when you're thinking in your head of rock and roll or metal,
Yeah, but it works. The song's called Better Part of Me, and I think it's my favorite. It's just an ass kicker from get-go.
Yeah, Jeff Loomis is phenomenal. That riff the riff just sets this thing up, and it's just a perfect intro. And the guest list on here, like I said, goes across the board, and you've got one of the highlight for me, I think, might have been the Rich Ward song.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It had a little bit different feel, and it was heavy, but it was kind of like that mid-tempo kind of heavy, and it brought the record to it wasn't a ballad at all, but it brought the record to a different place than it had been in the first few songs.
Yeah,
and another thing I wanted to ask you is when you hear this, obviously every song, like I said, has a different kind of feel. Do you like that when you're listening to an album? Because if you would think if he had just gotten one of these guys to do the whole album, it would have changed the way this album sounded, obviously.
Possibly. Well, it's just like any one of these, let's take Mark Morton did an album with different vocalists, and every one of those songs has a different feel.
Right.
So when you have an album like this, Slash, of course, with his first, well, not his first, but
his first technical solo album.
Yes.
Not Slash's Snake Pit, but
yes. So when you have one of those, all-star guest things type kind of album, whatever you want to call them, you're going to have different feel from song to song. And I know that going in, and you kind of expect it.
Right.
So I welcome it.
Yeah. The highlights to me were the 2 songs with Joel Hoekstra, which kind of surprised me because when I look at, I love that guy, but when you look at the list, I was thinking, Jeff Loomis, Gus G, Rich Ward, Tracii Guns. That's where my head's going a little bit more than Joel Hoekstra, but it just, I don't know if it's because when you think of where Joel Hoekstra comes from, now he's with Whitesnake and previously with Night Ranger, that's a little more in the Michael Sweet realm.
Yeah.
To what you're used to hearing Michael Sweet's voice on, so maybe that's why it kind of struck me a little bit bigger than the other ones did. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm thinking. But
I really like Shine with Ethan Broche, and forgive me, I do not know who that is. I should have probably Googled it before we turned record on.
Right.
But God damn it, I just got here from work. It was a crazy day.
Boy, I think.
Well, whatever. I really like that song. I enjoy it. That was a great song, and I really liked. And another thing of note was Marzi Montazeri from like Phil and Some on the Illegals and Superjoint. He's on this, and that's kind of out of left field.
Right.
He went from Satan to God, like that.
Right.
You know, but
and you got Gus G.
Yeah, Gus G, and I think that's cool because, you know, in the '80s and early '90s, you know, if a guy did that, you know, people would have just. They would have wanted to riot, you know, and it's a lot more acceptable these days to have some guy from a completely different genre guest on this guy's, and it's just it's a good place musically that wasn't there before.
Right.
I don't remember it being there before.
Yeah, definitely. The final track has Todd La Torre from Queensryche sharing vocals with Michael Sweet. It's the only track that he's
nice.
Taking the full lead on. Obviously, it's his solo album, but
yeah,
another phenomenal vocalist. And these two guys are, you know, trading back and forth in the verses and everything. And it's a great song. So,
you think he played drums on it?
That's a good question. That's another thing we probably should have done more research.
Yeah,
I don't know who played the drums on this album.
We just jump into this shit. You can deal with it.
It could have been Robert Sweet. It could have been Mike Portnoy.
Who knows?
It could have been Gene Hoglan. I don't know.
Could have been the guy from Huffamoose. One will never know.
That would have been great if it was. Mm-hmm. The album cover was here, but I forgot to turn the screensaver off. There you go again. Brand new album from Michael Sweet is on Rat Pack Records.
That one's going to cost you.
I know.
Rat Pack Records. Let me talk about them for a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's...
They got John Corabi. They've released stuff from John Connolly, Stephen Sweet. They released the John Corabi live album on cassette. Really love with this.
I think they did the Sweet and Lynch albums.
Yeah. I'd really love
and the
what.
Lynch albums, sorry.
No, what this company's doing. I would like this record on cassette.
Really?
I wonder they might have it.
I bet so, because anytime you go to ratpackrecords.com, plug for them. I've done that many times, and like you said, all those albums coming out, they've all different formats, and they've always got a ton of different packages you can buy with T-shirts and signed copies and all this stuff.
That's
and it's
great.
Never a ripoff. It's always a good price for what you're
awesome.
getting. So yeah, check that out. If you're a fan of Michael Sweet, obviously you're already watching this, and if you're a fan of any of those other bands, it's a great label. But yeah, to sum it up, this is a good album. A good 10th album from Michael Sweet. Glad we got the chance to check it out early. So huge thanks to Kevin from PFA Media for that. And get this thing when it comes out, October 11th, on all formats. And if you're a fan of Stryper, Michael Sweet, we've had a lot of guys on this podcast that you probably like. Frank Hannon from Tesla, Gene Simmons, Bruce Kulick, both from Kiss. We've had on guys from Warrant, Firehouse, Trickster, Great White, Junkyard, Kicks, Slaughter. A huge long-ass list.
Definitely.
So go check that out. SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Underground. Right here under this video, the links where you can find a podcast, and of course, the subscribe button for the YouTube channel. Hit that so you don't miss anything. We've got reviews. We recently did the new Steel Panther album. We've done reviews on the Alter Bridge Symphony Blu-ray. We've done the Dream Theater album. A lot of other stuff. We reviewed the Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard Cheese from Aldi.
We did.
If you're not familiar with that, dig through our videos and find out about that. But yeah, we appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you soon.